Last episode, I said if I don't get this into users' hands soon, I'm just burning runway. So today we're doing the scary part. Does AI Gorilla actually create value, or have I just built myself an expensive hobby? As a quick recap, episode 1 was about ideation. We validated the gap existed, that social listening tools listen, but they don't help you act. In episode 2, part 1, I vibe coded the MVP within Lovable, using 682 messages and 850 credits, and about $210 spent within a week. Episode 2, part 2, I had to migrate off Lovable, refactoring into a more traditional stack, adding CI and CD and security guardrails, because I needed more control over cost, environment, and reliability. And now we're here, validating the MVP itself. Welcome to One to Figure. This is the series where we pick a real business problem, build a solution, launch it, and track the entire journey together, giving you the time, cost, progress, and whether it actually works live. We are currently building the AI Gorilla, a social listening tool that doesn't just listen, but it helps you interact and understand. Here's the problem with building an MVP. It's dangerously easy to confuse building with progress, especially now. AI makes it cheap to create and even cheaper to create false progress, and I've been guilty of that. So for validation, I'm splitting the MVP stage into 2 tracks, like I promised last episode. Track 1, are we building the right product? Does it increase revenue, decrease cost, or reduce risk? Track 2, are we using the right channels to reach users? Today is track 1. We're going to be focusing on product value. Before we jump straight in, let's talk about what validation actually means. Validation is not a compliment. Validation is not someone saying, cool idea. Validation is a user getting value quickly and in a measurable way. So today's goal is simple. Can AI Gorilla consistently turn noise into action? Let's talk a little bit about what we did during this stage. I built a validation loop that stops me from overbuilding, consisting of 3 gates. Gate 1 is the speed to first value. Can a user find a relevant mention in under 60 seconds? Gate 2, the quality of the value. Out of the mentions found, what % are actually relevant and leading to action? Gate 3, ROI. Comparing to doing this manually, does it save time, make more money, or reduce risk? To support this, I focused the product on a few specific things. 1, campaign. So users can launch a focused search with clear intent. 2, relevancy scoring and sentiment, because a dashboard isn't value, filtering what matters is. 3, the response workflow. Drafting replies trained on brand voices, positioning, and your audience. 4, onboarding, an onboarding wizard so users can get value fast. And 5, a simple analytics view, no vanity metrics, just enough to measure outcomes. So let's talk about what happened in my first 5 user onboarding to test MVP. There was a specific moment that made me think, okay, this might actually work. At a session onboarding Nico, the owner and founder of Chonka, a marketing agency. We ran a small campaign, nothing huge, using AI Gorilla serviced relevant Reddit posts. We used the AI draft reply, edited it quickly in his own voice, and posted it. 2 minutes later from onboarding, Nico receives a buzz on his phone. The person replied asking for his contact details to discuss, asking more about his business and trying to reach out. In that moment, for me, I felt the product clicked, because that's the whole point. Not just listening, but acting. By finding this intent and converting into a real outcome, I felt like we were starting to show users real value of using AI Gorilla. However, we should probably have a reality check. One great moment is not validation, it's just a signal. The trap back now is I cling on to that moment and call it proof, drifting back into building. So the next job is actually going to be boring. It's just finding that repeatability. Can we reproduce that outcome that we found across more users, more campaigns, and more real workflows? That's the gate we're going to be placing on ourselves. So starting with what I'm actually measuring as we talk through these interviews, I wanted to build a scorecard consisting of 3 buckets. Bucket 1, the actual mention performance itself. I tracked how many mentions found from each onboarding, the percentage that was relevant, and the percentage that they wanted to act on. I'm finding roughly of the 10 mentions found, roughly 4 to 6 is relevant, and about half of those is worth acting on. As part of the next step of optimization, I need to start designing how to improve this hit rate. Bucket number 2, speed, the time to first relevant mention and time from mention to response. I built in onboarding with enhanced AI search, so it takes about less than 2 minutes to make an account, find a relevant mentions, and craft reply. Not a bad start, so I'm pretty happy with this as a scorecard so far. Bucket number 3, and probably the most important, ROI. Now, how long would a user normally do to do this manually? What does that time cost? And what's the outcome that we can generate? Measuring users manually complete this flow, normally taking around 30 to 1 hour per day monitoring their audience, we substantially reduce the times it takes, as well as getting a massively wider funnel, as showing real revenue impact with Nico. One of the biggest lessons learned so far is blunt. I've been building far too much before validating enough. Even before migrating off Lovable, my engineering brain wanted to over-engineer. I wanted more structure, more pipelines, and more features. But the validation doesn't care about the elegance, it cared about the outcomes. So I'm going to be shifting my mindset to a tighter loop. Build less, measure more, and learn faster. So what does that actually mean from changes from here? From this point forward, every week has one goal. We're going to be increasing the speed and consistency of users reaching value. If the feature doesn't increase revenue, decrease cost, or reduce risk, it doesn't ship. And I'm also going to stop relying on purely professional network conversations. They've been really useful for early feedback, but they can start hiding the truth. The next phase is to building a repeatable validation with a small user group, then distribution tests. All right, it's now time for a 1-to-figure check. At the end of the part 1, we're at $907.96 spent and 63 hours of effort, of course with 0 in revenue. After migrating off Lovable and adding on OpenAI's Pro at $239, including VAT, we're now at a total of $1,147.42, spending 79 hours of work. At this stage, fortunately the conversations does not cost anything, but it has taken me around 8 hours of conversations across the block, giving a total of 88 hours worked on AI Gorilla. Again, still on that $0, putting us quite in the red. So unfortunately, yes, the clock is still ticking, which is why validation matters more than ever. Next episode is track 2, channels. Because the product value is only half the MVP, we need to test how reliable our reach of users are, whether through ads, partners, outbound communities, word of mouth, events, and can figure out what actually produces conversations. Otherwise, it's just a product that's just going to sit here forever. If you ever found yourself building instead of validating, comment what helped break you out of that loop. And if you want to follow the journey, subscribe to 1-to-Figure. See you next week.